Alright, so I'm going to do an at-home diffusion experiment for you. So I've got 300 millilitres of boiling hot just out of the kettle water. Unfortunately, my thermometer is meant for human temperatures, so it won't record a temperature that high, it just says get to the doctor. So boiling hot water, around 95 degrees from the kettle, 300 millilitres in our at home a glass. At school we would probably do this in a conical flask or a boiling tube maybe. And I'm now going to add a teaspoon of food colouring. Again, at home, I'm just going to do this over the tissue. At home, we use a teaspoon. In school, if we were doing this in a proper science experiment, we might perhaps use a pipette or a syringe to get an exact volume every single time. And I'm going to add it into my hot water, and I'm going to time how long it takes for the red food dye to diffuse or spread out so that all of my water is red. Okay, I'm not going to stir it or do anything. I'm just going to pour it in and leave it. As soon as I pour it, I'm going to start my stopwatch, and we're going to time and see how long this takes in boiling water. Added, started.
Yeah, go.
Alright, so I would say that is spread out. The red has gone everywhere in the water. There's no sort of clear water left. So if you zoom in on my timer, you can see that's taken just over 12 seconds. Alright, we're going to repeat this in our new temperature of water.
Go.
So same experiment. This time I've got water taken from my tap at home, which is around about 10 degrees. 300 millilitres once again. I've got a new glass so that this glass is room temperature, so my results aren't going to be affected by the last glass still being warm. So 300 ml of water. Once again, I'm aiming for a teaspoon of food dye. Exactly the same as before. I'm going to add it in and start my timer. So I have just finished watching my food dye diffusing all out, and I think that that is now diffused out evenly. So as you can see here, slightly cooler water, so we said about 10 degrees. My time is nearly 32 seconds. All right, we're going to do one more with water from the fridge. All right, last time, and this time I've got water from my fridge, which is set around about 3 degrees. It is really nice and cold. I haven't got a new glass this time, because the glass is still room temperature, so it hasn't been warmed up, so it's not going to affect the results in any way. So add in my 300 millilitres again. Once again, teaspoon of food colouring. Alright, so that's about right to me. So as you can see, we're even longer still at just over 40 seconds. Now, this isn't a perfect experiment because it's really subjective. So if I looked at this, I might decide that at this point everything is diffused, but you might look at it and decide at a different point. So it's not a perfect experiment by any stretch of the imagination. However, it hopefully is going to give you an idea of how temperature affects the rate of diffusion.